Louisiana Eats is brought to you with support from Louisiana Fish Fry, a staple of Louisiana kitchens for nearly 40 years. Maker of batters, coatings, boils, tartar sauce, cocktail sauce, and more. Dig into homemade Louisiana flavor. From our studios in the Southern Food and Beverage Museum in New Orleans, this is Louisiana Eats. I'm Poppy Tooker, hosting from my home studio. As the world continues to deal with the constantly unfolding coronavirus pandemic, we're working hard to keep our listeners up to date on what's happening in the food world. On last week's episode, we first met filmmakers Jonathan Evans and Marian Gay, who have assembled a short documentary chronicling how local business leaders, restaurateurs, and service workers are responding to the crisis. You can see the full-length documentary on YouTube. You'll find the link on our website, poppytooker.com. The interviews were largely conducted outdoors in interest of safety, with our social media maven, Maddie Mullidew, acting as our intrepid field reporter. Jonathan and Marian were kind enough to share their raw footage. In this week's episode, we'll hear from Chef Hayley Vanvleet of Belle Époque, a now-shuttered absinthe bar and restaurant, and Chef Cristina Quackenbush of Milkfish. Then we'll talk with Isaac Toups at his mid-city New Orleans eatery, Toups Meatery. Since before the shutdown was ordered, Isaac and his team have been sharing their 3 p.m. daily staff meal with anyone in the industry in need while continuing to conduct takeout 7 days a week. As the need has mushroomed, so is the quantity of meals Isaac and his crew are putting out. Needless to say, charitable donations to his cause have become a must, as the daily numbers have swollen into the hundreds. Then, Emily and Elon Shia join us to talk about how their Pomegranate Hospitality Group is responding to the crisis. And finally, we'll hear from restaurateur Dickie Brennan, whose entire operation remains shuttered. We're in the trenches, telling the tales, on this week's Louisiana Eats. Since Governor John Bel Edwards issued a statewide stay-at-home order, many Louisianians are isolating at home with their roommates and families. We begin our program with a pair of New Orleans chefs who also happen to be roommates, Cristina Quackenbush and Hayley Vanvleet. Listeners may remember hearing Cristina Quackenbush on our show back in February. She's been the chef and owner of Milkfish for nearly a decade, most recently popping up at the Broad Theater in Mid-City. She's known for dishes inspired by her native Filipino cuisine.
This is a very popular dish that I sell at the theater all the time. It's called the Bicol Express. It's sauteed pork butt simmered in coconut milk, fermented shrimp paste, chilies, and garlic fried rice.
And Hayley Vanvleet has been a rising star in the New Orleans culinary scene for some time now. Before her kitchen was closed, Hayley was executive chef of Belle Époque on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter. Her dishes meld the flavors of France and rustic American fare.
I call it avant-garde style French, because I like to take a French base and kind of twist it a little bit, play with it. I have things like French onion soup dumplings, and then I do burrata with ratatouille relish. A lot of American influence, and a lot of the time I've spent working with Cristina has led me to using a lot of Asian or Filipino ingredients in the background, trying to pull it off without anybody knowing. It's really cool though. It works a lot more than I thought it would.
How long have you guys been roommates?
We've been living together for 2 years. We've been close friends for about the last 5 or 6.
In addition to being roommates and friends, Cristina and Hayley are longtime culinary collaborators. They share a pop-up called Smoked Bowls, and Hayley often helps Cristina out with her pop-up, Milkfish. The day after Hayley and Cristina had to shut down dine-in operations, the two roommates got to work in their home kitchen preparing food for delivery. Marian Gay spoke with them both separately on March the 27th.
Hi, Cristina. Thank
Hello.
you so much for talking with us today. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing here with making deliveries out of your home.
Since this whole thing happened, it's crazy how fast it just really happened. I was making food at the Broad Theater. I had my own little cafe inside there, but like the week before everything started closing down, just the business came to pretty much a screeching halt. At that point in time, when we hadn't even been, confined to our homes or anything, people were scared to come out. So before we even closed all the restaurants and all the businesses, I already had started doing delivery because I could see that the need was probably going to be for it. People were kind of scared to come out. I remember my first post, I was like, due to the crisis, I'm offering delivery. And then from that point on, they were just like, so you're going to be doing delivery from this point on? And I just couldn't say no. I kept getting calls every day and, and all my regulars and all that stuff. And I said, I would definitely make food for you guys, continue to make food for you guys, And that's what I've been doing ever since then.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi, how's it going?
So when did Belle Époque shut down?
The 15th was our last day of service. It was weird. Friday was fine. I mean, we were hearing about things starting to happen. Saturday was the day they closed us at 9 p.m. and then they tried to clear the French Quarter. My restaurant was on Bourbon and Bienville, so we take our breaks up on a balcony. So we were up on the balcony, and all of a sudden, here comes a cop car and like one guy on a horse. I think there were 3 cars on the first round. One of them had a siren and one guy on a horse, and they were like trying to clear the streets of the French Quarter on Saturday, and it didn't really work. People would move out of the way, the horse and the car would go by, and then they'd go right back to what they were doing. It helped you really early on get a sense of the fact that the general public wasn't going to take it well. Sunday was when it was really thin and you could tell things were changing, And we got the word, I think, by like 3 that we were going to have to close very early.
And then, so when did this start with Cristina?
I found out on Monday that it wasn't going to happen. I had to lay off my employees, and then we started this on Tuesday.
Every day, we did it every day last week, so half the menu is hers and half the menu is mine, but we kind of go in together with all the food items and stuff so they can get a little bit of both of us, a little bit of American, French, and Filipino. And then we deliver it so no one has to come out. We make the arrangements beforehand, pay beforehand, then I come up and I literally just set the food in the bag wrapped up on the porch. And so like we'll make one trip about 4 or 5 orders if we can. And we're usually going out about 5 times a day. 6 times a day, and we're going to Meatery. We're going far for everyone that wants to eat.
I mean, we started it because people were asking us about it, but also because like we're both culinary professionals. We've both been doing this in our entire lives. Like we didn't know what else to do. Most of us cook to relieve stress and anxiety, and at a time like this, like we just kind of did it out of necessity, financial and personal mental necessity.
What kind of response have you seen from your clients and the people you serve?
A majority of my clients are super supportive of everything that's going on. So a majority of my clients are just wanting to be supportive of me, I've found. They're like, you're in this industry and we just want to support you. Like there's people buying the food, not even eating it, just to support me and then going and giving it to people that can't go out and get food. So I'm so happy to be a part of that. It's been a no contact delivery, so I haven't really gotten to talk to them in person. And so like they'll talk to me through text. So you can't really get a feeling of what they're, but I feel like everyone's feeling kind of the same. They're just kind of in limbo, like what are we going to do now? But in the meantime, everyone's got to eat, So I'm here to at least do that, and I'm happy to do it.
We are very diligent in the way that we process and prepare everything that we do, and I'm glad that we can just keep doing what we love,
Yeah. Keep a sense of purpose, because
a routine.
Nourishment. Everyone is stressed.
I woke up this morning a little bit late, but we were already prepped from yesterday, and I ran into her in the hallway. I was like, "Sorry, I'm late for work. There was a lot of traffic this morning." Just being, silly kind of also helps us. It helps to be quarantined with your best friend, and maintain some bit of sanity, just being able to joke around with each other and maintain some sort of, some sort of a routine in this new, I don't want to say new normal, but new situation that's been presented to us,
Well, the reason I moved here in the first place was the restaurant industry. It's this heart and soul. This city is mainly service industry. This right here has literally crippled us. as a city itself. I mean, I know a lot of other cities across the United States, but when this is your bread and butter, your lifeline, everything, it's really hard. And everyone's kind of just in like, what are we going to do? What can we do? One thing that New Orleans does when we get in situations, I've been through Katrina as well. When we gather up, we get together, we form teams, socially distant right now, but you can see it of all the different things that people are doing with the feeding of the service industry, and the continued delivery and trying to feed people, and the support from the people that can't work are buying the food from the people that are able to work. New Orleans will come back because we have such a big love for each other here that there's just no way it cannot.
That was Chef Hayley Vanvleet and Chef Cristina Quackenbush. With restaurants and bars shuttered across the state, jobless claims by hospitality workers are through the roof. While waiting for federal bailout payments, a lot of unemployed workers have found some relief in the form of meals offered to them by businesses where they were once employed. Chef Isaac Toups of Toups Meatery has gone a step further. You may know the term family meal. It's a meal restaurants serve their staff outside of peak business hours, usually before service begins. After Toups Meatery closed its doors, Isaac began offering their daily family meal to anyone in need, especially those in the service industry, free of charge. Maddie Mulladoo spoke with Isaac on March the 24th, just a week after the coronavirus shutdown.
Why don't we start with you telling me a little bit about how the restaurant's been doing since the coronavirus became an issue for us in New Orleans?
It was hit and miss at first. You don't know what's going to happen, what's going on before they shut us down and whatnot. Customers drop off and you had to lay some hourly employees off. We kept our managers and whatnot. And we decided right away that we were going to feed all of our employees. We're going to feed the employees, and the employees have families, so we need to feed them. So this kind of snowballed into the family meal program, which we're working right now. So even though we can only do takeout business, every day at 3 p.m., we're feeding anybody in need of a meal. There's a lot of people who've been laid off, and a lot of people who just need something to eat. We started with the service industry, and we started with helping our people out, but the more resources we get, the more people we're going to serve. And I will serve as many people as humanly possible. And even after this is over, we're going to help out as many people as we absolutely can.
What do you think that New Orleans citizens can do to help the restaurant industry, y'all in particular, in this time?
People can help us out with either donations or just come buying some food. We'll bring it to your car. We'll even deliver it to you. If you can afford to go out and eat, support your restaurants. If you can't afford to come eat anyway. We'll take care of you. So try to get some normalcy. Obviously everybody wants to make groceries, and I appreciate that. But you also got to try to support your local businesses as much as you can.
What do you think the government could do to help restaurants in this situation?
I think the government, and excuse my language, could work better together. And enough of this partisan. We got a global pandemic going on, and we need as much help as we can get. I'll get off my soapbox as of now, but any assistance would be helpful. Corporations are getting big bailouts, but the little businesses aren't. I don't think that's right at all. We're talking about, oh yeah, we'll get you some loans that I'll pay back later with money I don't have. I don't get that. This is not how business works. We need support, we need some help.
How do you see this affecting moving forward with your business? What's the future look like?
If I had to guess what the future is going to be like, it's going to be slow at first. So of course, I'm going to rehire all the people who I had as much as possible, but I have a feeling that everybody's going to be a little low on funds, and even though everybody's going to want to come out and go out to eat, not everybody's going to be able to afford it. So I think you're going to start off with a skeleton crew and then slowly, hopefully, rehire everyone who was employed by me, and hopefully we can all get back to something resembling normal. What's going to be normal after this? Do you know? I don't know. Just like every major event, whether it's Katrina or anything else going on, you got to remain calm. You got to be ice cold killer. You got to be the samurai warrior. You got to remain calm and you got to take it day by day, because I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I don't know if they're going to shut us down tomorrow. I don't know if they're going to lift the ban tomorrow. You don't know, so you have to be calm, and you have to have resolve, and you have to have a plan. And then you have to have a backup plan when that plan goes to hell.
Do you see any sort of silver linings that have come from this or that might come from it?
The silver lining I'm seeing is the people who are willing to step up and help. And I'm not going to mention the ones who aren't, but I know who you are. But it's great to see the good people coming out and either supporting us either financially, physically, with donations. That's what I like seeing. You really see who people are when everything hits the fan. And it really warms my heart. I don't mind coming out. I'm here almost every day, working away. That's my job. That's what I do. We help people. And I feel bad if I didn't. So it's really easy for me to come in here and crank out family meal for everybody else. And, it's good to see the community get together. New Orleans has been through this. We'll go through it again. Bring it on. It's all we can do. We gotta stick together. We don't have a choice, right?
Right.
Stick and stay together. Too dumb to be scared. That's our motto.
That was Chef Isaac Toups speaking to Maddie Mulladoo on March the 24th. Details on how to donate to Family Meal are available at toupsmeatery.com. Coming up next, we hear from Elan and Emily Shaya of Saba Restaurant in New Orleans. Louisiana Eats returns after the break. I'm Poppy Tooker, and you're listening to Louisiana Eats, edible content for Louisiana food lovers. Louisiana Eats is brought to you with major support from Camellia Brand, beans done right, a New Orleans tradition since 1923, and from the Ralph Brennan Restaurant Group. Ralph's on the Park on City Park Avenue in Mid-City is open and offering family-style dinners Wednesday through Sunday for curbside pickup. There's a different theme each night of the week. To learn more, visit ralphsonthepark.com or reach them directly at 504-488-1000. During the coronavirus crisis, folks statewide are stepping up to help their communities through food. Is there an individual, group, or organization that's making a difference to you or your community? Give these COVID culinary heroes a shout out by tagging us on social media or leaving us a message on our phone line. We may share your story on a future program. We can be reached at 504-264-3149. 504-264-3149. And now, back to Louisiana Eats. With the sudden loss of business after the coronavirus shutdown, most restaurants were impelled to furlough or lay off staff. Emily and Elan Shaya of Saba in New Orleans have been seeking out ways to bring people back into their ranks safely while they figure out how best to support a city in crisis. Elan and Emily spoke to Maddie Mulladoo on March the 23rd, just a week after it was announced that their restaurant would be required to close.
It's been super stressful. This has been one of the hardest weeks that Emily and I have ever had in our entire lives. Last Monday, people weren't allowed to come into restaurants anymore, and we had to, unfortunately, put most of our team members on furlough. And really quickly, we just kind of geared up to begin doing takeout and delivery and serving food to people in the community so we can do our part and not, in allowing people to stay at home so we can deliver food to them, or when they come to pick it up and we put the food on the hood of their car. We're doing everything we can to keep things safe for the whole community. And our team has, put themselves on the front line to do that, and they have been amazing. And we've been working now with 6 of our managers, and we've been able to add on about 4 more people onto our team, which has been great because we can get people back on payroll, get them back on health insurance, and give people a sense of purpose and how they can help and how they can nourish the community.
We never did takeout, definitely never did delivery before. So it's been, transition to doing to-go only, and we're able to hire back one of our team members to start doing deliveries for us, which has been great. The demand for that has been pretty consistent. Elan was doing most of the original deliveries until we, really got a handle on what's happening. I think we're just, taking it week by week. We've seen a lot of the community come out, a lot of familiar faces that dine with us, all of our regulars and our neighbors are driving up, picking up food, and it's been nice to see them from afar and through their windows and things like that.
Yeah, 3 times a week we're doing these big family meals for our team members, and we're also starting to serve hummus at Rouse's Market as well on Barone Street. That's allowed us to hire back another person to handle the Rouse's delivery and all the business for that. And all of the money that we're receiving for tips from our guests that are ordering for takeout and ordering for delivery, all of that money is going into an employee relief fund so that we can try to get that money back into the pockets of our team members that are on furlough. Just this week, we've raised several $1,000s in that fund, and we hope that will help everybody kind of sustain some sense of normalcy in their life throughout this really tragic experience.
It happened very quickly, and at some points, things were changing hour by hour. We'd think we had a plan in place, and then we'd hear something else. We did see that other states had already closed the dining rooms of most restaurants, or restaurants were choosing to close their dining rooms. So the week before, we were thinking about ways to just ramp up to go. So we figured that out over the last week with our dedicated task force team that's been here basically nonstop until today.
Was there a way that you sat down your staff to have this conversation of what you were going to do moving forward?
Yeah, we sat down with everybody and explained what we thought the best plan was and who was interested in that. Every team member, has to make the conscious decision on whether or not it's safer for them to stay home or if it's safer for them to come here and nourish the rest of the community. We're all struggling with that decision. I think everybody is, and I don't know the right answer to that. Every day we sit down and we've been talking through our feelings, and we've been crying together, and we've been leaning on each other's shoulders from at least 6 feet apart, so that, because we're all going through the same emotions. We're all doing our best to keep our health and the health of the people around us as our first priority. But we also know that in times like this, people need food, and this is what we do. And that, I think, for Emily and I, brings us a sense of accomplishment in the middle of all of this, that we can actually do something that makes people feel good and makes them feel better. starting tomorrow, we're going to be feeding doctors and nurses in emergency rooms with Ochsner. So I'm delivering 150 hummus lunches tomorrow to several different Ochsner locations, so that the people that are really on the front line, the doctors and the nurses that are like saving people's lives and putting their own lives at risk by doing so, we want them to at least feel a sense of nourishment and a sense of a moment where they can just bite into something that's really delicious and then
Find
move
some
on.
comfort.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of relief or help you're looking for from the government or beyond?
Yes. Yeah.
What are you hoping for with that?
We hope that we can get an SBA loan quickly. We hope that our team members can quickly file for unemployment and get a good portion of their salaries back. We're hoping that our landlord continues to help us out with rent. We're hoping that our vendors don't cash the checks that we sent them. I mean, there's a lot of things that people have reached out from all of our networks and have offered that kind of help and have said, look, we'll hold on to this check until after this is all over, or we'll just don't worry about rent until we can, get back to normal and get people back into the restaurants. All that makes a difference. Without those people that really can step in and really offer help that way, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to afford it. What we hope is that when this all ends, that our team members who are on furlough have some money in their pockets and have groceries in their refrigerator and feel ready to come back to work, and that the business can survive and that we can be ready to hire people back.
Do you see any sort of maybe silver lining or something positive out of all of this?
It's hard to, but we've seen, our community come together, even though they can't, embrace like we're used to doing. Like, we see people just giving when they can.
Yeah. And, it took me about 5 years to start seeing some of the silver linings that happened after Katrina. When we were, feeding people on the street red beans and rice 2 days after the storm, you didn't think that the city was ever going to come back, and you didn't think that anything could happen that would fix this or make it back to normal. And as time went on, you just kept seeing more and more people coming and supporting the city, and people, picking up their pieces of their lives and starting to put them back together. And for sure, New Orleans will be able to do that. I believe in New Orleanians, and I believe in our community, and that we will prevail.
Emily and Elan Shaya of Saba in New Orleans, speaking with Maddie Mullidew on March 23rd. When gathering spaces were ordered to close across the state, restaurants had only a handful of options. They could offer takeout, delivery, or drive-through, or they could shut down entirely. Dickie Brennan and Company operates 5 restaurants in New Orleans, 4 in the French Quarter and 1 in City Park. The company is also a flagship sponsor of Louisiana Eats. After the March 15th mandate, Dickie Brennan and his team worked quickly to figure out how their restaurants would function going forward and what would become of their staff. At first, they decided to move to delivery and pickup service from their French Quarter restaurants. But after a quick reassessment, it was decided best to shut those kitchens down too. Here's Dickie Brennan speaking with Maddie Mullidew on March the 24th, discussing how his company is dealing with the effects of COVID-19.
So which of your restaurants are currently open, operating, delivering?
Okay.
Which ones are closed?
So the French Quarter restaurants, Dickie Brennan Steakhouse, Palace Cafe, Bourbon House, and Tableau are all shut down completely. Sometime back we got in the mode of wanting to do the takeout, curbside pickup, and everybody jumped in, and it was all about trying to keep us all active, as much of the team busy. And, and just the French Quarter is not the right environment right now to ask all these people to come to work. So yesterday, we really shut everything down. We sanitized, golly, several days of sanitizing. It's almost, I say, a mothball of our 4 restaurants, and so they're there. We want to be able to turn them back on as quick as possible. So I feel like the team did a great job of getting us set up with that. Acorn is our cafe out at the new Louisiana Children's Museum out in City Park. So right now we're doing a survey trying to ask people, what types of food do you want? And we're going to turn that on, and we'll have prepared foods to be picked up curbside, or we'll certainly be able to deliver. So we're excited about getting that going in that part of town. And now, our goal still is to try to keep these men and women as busy as possible. We're in conversations with a couple of nonprofits that have these wonderful commissary type kitchens. And so it looks like we're going to put a good portion of our culinary team in a safe environment where they can work. I mean, the thing that pains me the most are the men and women that I work with every day. And to go through this, it happened fast, but the fact that we furloughed or laid off, I've never done that in my life. It pains me that I said goodbye to all these people, because it's hard for us to stay connected. We all need to quarantine or whatever, but we're doing everything we can to support them, and I know we will. We are stronger together than not, so we're going to stick together.
What parallels do you see between the situation right now and Katrina?
I guess, it's a catastrophe. You're trying to deal with something, but it's so different. I mean, this is the entire world. I can't see the bottom. I just, with Katrina, it happened, and we just said, let's jump in. We're gonna rebuild, and we're on track to rebuild. We don't know when we're gonna have the opportunity to do that. So it's very unique, and if you're trying to be proactive and be a planner and strategically thinking, that's the hardest part, is just not knowing how long this takes. When it comes to the business interruption, we invest in all this insurance, and it doesn't kick in right now. It's tough when government comes in and tells you to shut down everything. So, waiting to see what's going to work out. There's going to be relief. I can't imagine that businesses aren't going to get support. And I like what it's looking at like now, to where monies can come to the businesses, and then we can get that money to our employees. I think keeping us connected is going to really be key to getting things back up and running. After Katrina, we gave people money. Everybody was disconnected. We went to turn our business back on. We didn't even know where we were. So I think it makes sense to keep the business connected with their team.
What do you think, if anything, the citizens of New Orleans can help do to help the restaurants and the food industry out in this time?
Well, I know my daughter keeps saying, lock yourself in a room. So I think, I understand that concept. And I think the less we're interacting with people, that might help make it a shorter process. I personally just can't, I get cabin fever. But I think that makes sense, trying to respect that. But I think the other thing is, we're all here. Let's help each other. It's a time, again, we've been through this with Katrina. This is certainly different, but it's about being kind. If you can help somebody, help them.
What about a silver lining or something positive in all the craziness that's going on?
At this stage of my life, I'm a little bit older. Prior to this happening, I get real disappointed with where we are in society, whether it's locally in our city or nationally or internationally. Man, I hope this is a wake-up call. It would be a great silver lining for us to learn to get together again instead of all this separation. We're so separated as a society. It pains me, That's my hope. That will be a great silver lining.
That was Dickie Brennan of Dickie Brennan and Company, speaking with Maddie Mullidew on March the 24th. Cooking within the limitations of our pantry and freezers often means substituting what's available for what's not. Stay tuned, and we'll explore that topic when we come right back. Poppy Tooker, and you're listening to Louisiana Eats, edible content for Louisiana food lovers. Louisiana Eats is brought to you with support from Louisiana Fish Fry, breadings, boils, new air fry mixes, and more classic Louisiana dishes available everywhere. Dig into some homemade Louisiana flavor. And from the St. Tammany Parish Tourist Commission. Located 40 minutes from New Orleans' French Quarter, the North Shore's Tammany Taste features the chefs and farmers, brewers and bakers of St. Tammany Parish's culinary scene. Despite the restrictions currently underway due to the COVID-19 outbreak, you can still support North Shore restaurants and restaurants everywhere by ordering takeout when available and buying gift certificates as an investment in our restaurant's culinary future. Visit LouisianaNorthShore.com to discover more. Louisiana's North Shore, where New Orleans has come to play and get away for more than a century. Here's this week's culinary quiz question, brought to you with support from Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. Cooking within the limitations of our pantries and freezers often means substituting what's available for what's not. What are some of those best substitutions? Applesauce can be a baker's lifesaver. If a recipe calls for 1 cup of butter, you can use a 1/2 cup applesauce and only a 1/2 cup of butter, saving money, fat, and calories. Also, a 1/4 cup applesauce can be substituted for 1 whole egg in baking recipes. Another great egg substitute comes from our vegan friends. They combine 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed with 3 tablespoons of water. That combination even performs beautifully as an egg wash. Beer is one of my favorite substitutes for chicken stock. In fact, it adds such depth of flavor, you may prefer it, except in chicken soup. No brown sugar in the pantry? Substitute 1 cup white sugar mixed with a 1/4 cup molasses, and then reduce the recipe's liquid by a 1/4 cup also. Need a cup of half and half? Add 1 tablespoon of butter to 7/8 cup of whole milk. Canned evaporated milk can be substituted 1 for 1 with heavy cream. A 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce mixed with a tablespoon of water can be used as a substitute for a 1/2 cup of soy sauce. Citrus juices can be substituted for vinegars and vice versa. If there was ever a time to play with your food, it's now. So head into the kitchen and improvise and substitute to your heart's content. You may make some surprising discoveries yourself. I'm Poppy Tooker, and you're listening to Louisiana Eats.
My name is Charlie Pierre. I am the head chef and owner of Free Thai here in New Orleans, Louisiana, located at the St. Roch Market.
We end today's program with Chef Charlie Pierre, who makes Haitian street food with inventive twists. Free Thai was one of St. Roch Market's most successful stalls until the food hall was forced to close its dining room to the public. Marian Gay spoke with Charlie on March the 28th, the week following the coronavirus shutdown.
You know, I think I realized it affected my business a little too late. I mean, I'm sure everybody did. Really, I just realized how severe it'd be about 5 or 6 days before we actually closed down. You know, things went from 0 to 100 fairly quickly. It was impactful in such a quick way. I just didn't realize, which many people didn't, how severe the situation would be. Given that I know New Orleans, how New Orleans is, of course, like we would have high rates because we just love to touch each other and things like that. But it's pretty shocking how soon everything kind of collapsed in that sense.
And how was that making that decision to close down, and what kinds of conversations did you have with your staff?
Sure.
What was that like?
Luckily, I have great staff and I have great people around me. My employees are amazing and they're extremely understanding, and we have a great relationship. I try to just keep a good team around. So I try to keep them up to date extremely often. So, you know, they would come to me every day, like, what's the update? And I'm like, you know, I'll let you know when things unfold, but at the moment, I'm not sure if we're gonna be open or closed. I wasn't sure if we're gonna close, you know, until about 24 hours before we did. So that happened extremely abruptly. But again, they were very cool and open, and I try to help them with, you know, coming together and finding ways so that I can make sure that they'll be okay during this break. But luckily for me and my team, we're pretty well grounded, and at the moment we're fairly stable, and we're really sure that we'll open up right when everything is, you know, over.
Was there any discussion of like takeout? A lot of people were doing that, delivery.
So we did takeout once everything went to straight takeout. That was, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. We did that until Saturday, so about 4 or 5 days. It was okay, but you know, our sales dropped 70 to 80% on the first, second day. I mean, by Friday, probably dropped about 90%, which is extremely severe. And I had the choice of, you know, I can stay open as a one-man operation or I can close. You know, I just thought that it would be smarter for me and my team to close so we can, you know, allow my team to be safe and happy and healthy at home, while people like me and my business partner, we can go back and help, you know, I wouldn't say restructure the bit, but, you know, just work on changing things, using this time, extremely utilizing this time for better purposes, you know.
Speaking of changes, how do you see this affecting the New Orleans restaurant service industry at large in the future?
You know, that's the biggest shocking thing, is trying to realize how much it's going to change our industry. Because, I mean, I can say things, but honestly, like, none of us really know how extreme it's going to be, or, you know, if it's actually going to be profitable, if it's actually going to be a big loss at the end. I think that, you know, after this, you know, practically everybody's unemployed. You know, the whole restaurant industry technically is unemployed, right? Except for some of these salary workers. Even they're losing checks. So the good thing about it is that when everything comes back to normal, there's going to be a mass surge of, you know, new employees coming in. So people who, you know, needed new jobs will be able to find jobs. People who wanted to change jobs will change jobs. Managers who want to change employees, restructure their staff, that's going to be an option. So there's going to be a big drive for rehiring. I don't know what it's going to do for the market. I don't know what it's going to do I feel like it might even hurt wages, you know, because everybody's losing so much money, so wages won't really increase, especially business per business. Like, I can't open back up and promise people that your wages will increase when I open back up, because we just took a whole loss for a month. So that'll be kind of the biggest loss. But I think people are going to find jobs. New Orleans in general, on the last recent years, has done pretty well at attempting to have, you know, decreasing their unemployment rates. So, especially in the industry. So, I mean, I'm hopeful, but, you know, we have no choice but to see where it goes.
Is there any type of aid you're looking for from government or the citizens, or, you know, what can people do to help?
I mean, first, every individual person should just be purchasing from small local businesses. I mean, we're watching these businesses close one by one. Slowly. So the least, you know, a citizen or a person, a resident of New Orleans can do is just go back to those people and, you know, give whatever money you have to them. You know, purchase any food items. A lot of these places that are closing down or are closed right now have their stock for sale. So I think that everybody should just be aware of places that are closed or slightly open, because they have a lot of stuff that they just want to give away. Like, there's restaurants who who sell a lot of foods with, Egyptian or Arab food, and they have a lot of hummus, so they want to sell their hummuses in containers. So you can do that and buy stuff from them. So there's like little ways. In terms of like bigger picture, I mean, I don't really rely on the government for things like that. I know what state we live in. I know what country we live in. I mean, it would be cool, but I don't expect anything. That's how I'm taking it. With that, I do expect them to do something, but I don't expect personally. It wouldn't shock me if nothing came. I would hope that, they'd provide some like tax breaks, which is okay because that's on the back end. Up front, helps on SBA loans, subsidies, things like that would, really help us, push us back. I mean, the industry really needs it, especially in New Orleans, right? We're like primarily driven on hospitality. So the thought to not give aid to the industry that actually makes New Orleans run, turns on, go every day, it'd be nonsense to not help that industry.
Is there anything positive or like a silver lining you see in this whole disaster?
Yeah, I mean, this is an extremely important time for self-healing, understanding who you are, therapy, really focusing on yourself. And especially there's different types of people in the world, and I'm one of the people who just can't sit down, and that's given my industry, given what I do. Of course, that's the type of person I am. So it's been really difficult, especially the first couple of days, to actually sit down, be cool, learn that it's okay for me to just sit down on my couch and I can open a book and read, and I can do this for 3 hours, I can do that for 2 hours. I've never had this much time off. I've never been in my home for 3 days straight. And I did that, and I had the option of going in and out, but I really wanted to make sure that, especially this week, which is my first like full week, today made my first full week home, that I really spent that time like not outwardly putting out energy, but keeping my energy into myself and rebuilding, and just focusing on myself. Next week, I'll start to rebrand, plan, maybe start selling goods, but working with things like my anxiety, working things like my health. I want to be healthier. I want to eat better. I want to learn how to plan my meals out in a week better. So I'm learning all these things, and these are the things I wouldn't have even thought about if none of this happened. The other silver linings, regaining connections, relationships. Regaining relationships with my partners, making it closer. Partners in business and personal partners. Calling family members and just keeping up to date with them, because I never used to do that often, but we're doing it very often, and they know I live in New Orleans where the rates are pretty high here, so we're always talking. So it's about connection, family, trying to make the best out of these moments.
That was Charlie Pierre of Free Thai in New Orleans, speaking with Marian Gay on March the 28th. That's it for this week's edition of Louisiana Eats, edible content for Louisiana food lovers. If you're at loose ends these days, we have 10 years of Louisiana Eats editions available for pod and webcasting on poppytooker.com. That's where you'll also find the compelling short film by Jonathan Evans and Marian Gay discussed on today's show, along with other videos and recipes. Louisiana Eats is made possible with major support from Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, Louisiana Fish Fry, Camellia Brand Beans, and the St. Tammany Tourist Commission. Additional support for Louisiana Eats is provided by the Dickie Brennan and Company family of restaurants. E-gift cards are available through all the restaurants' websites, as well as through FrenchQuarterDining.com. Please remember, during the COVID-19 crisis, restaurants need our support more than ever. Please consider takeout and delivery from our generous sponsors, and remember, buying a gift certificate is making an investment in their future. Original theme music composed by David Pomerleau and performed by Johnny Sketch and the Dirty Notes. Big thanks to senior producer Joe Schreiner and special projects manager Reggie Morris, and to our business manager and social media maven Maddie Mullidew, who also served as intrepid field reporter for our COVID-19 coverage, along with Jonathan Evans and Marian Gay for providing the audio. Catch up with us anytime on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook too. Louisiana Eats is a production of Poppy Tooker Broadcasting.